Welcome to A Certain Style of Podcast, episode 16. I'm here with Tim and Andy, as usual. How are you guys?
I'm good, thanks, Guy.
Yeah. How are you,
Yeah,
Tim?
I'm good.
Yeah. All right. There are a bunch of DVDs on the table. They are all origin stories, which is maybe debatable. We might debate that. We will talk about origin stories today a little bit after some light news.
Mm-hmm.
I say light news because the first story is brought to us today by Gemma Harris, who sent me this today. And it involves Princess Leia's bikini going on sale at auction.
I saw this.
Yeah, so of course you did.
Andy sees everything on the internet.
I would be surprised if there was a news story that was about a bikini that you hadn't. So yeah, it went up for auction and it raised. Do you know how much it raised?
$100,000.
Nearly, 96,000.
Wow, it's close.
That's very close. Yeah, from an unknown buyer. So we all know where that's going.
That's it. I was quite surprised it didn't go for higher than that.
Yeah,
It's quite an iconic.
yeah.
Did it come with the both pieces?
Yeah, I think it was the
Two
whole.
piece.
I think it was the whole lot. It was. It started at 80, so it didn't go up a
No.
lot.
Do you think it would have gone for more if it had been sold 10 years ago?
Maybe yes. We've all seen Carrie Fisher nowadays, and I think the maybe the only good thing about that going on sale is she can't wear it again for her appearance in episode 7. Imagine if she was.
They could do a CGI
what make her
Carrie Fisher.
post
Yeah.
or pre having an eventful life. Well, maybe the description was cool. It was flexible gold painted red dense urethane rubber. Sounds just disgusting.
Delicious. Yeah.
I also thought it was funny because in the same article it was talking about other things they sold, and that was not the most expensive item. You'd maybe think that there are enough gross Star Wars fans out there that would have been the most, but actually the biggest selling thing was $450,000 for a scale model of the Rebel blockade runner from the start of episode 4.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice to know
Well,
that
yeah.
people are buying regular, normal things
Yeah.
for a lot of money, not gross things for a lot of money. So, nice.
But also, if you think about things that keep their value, surely that's got to keep its value better.
I am someone's gonna sell that. I don't think that's gonna get sold on again. I think that's gone to someone's house and will never ever be seen again.
Well, maybe their grandchild or something.
Someone may take that home and die in it at some point soon.
Nice.
Well, that's the world we live in. Only have 2 stories, the second of which is pretty cool. We had a little talk a couple of weeks ago about characters we would have liked to have seen in like starring roles in films that maybe wasn't to be. I think we touched on Bob Hoskins possibly being Wolverine. Nicolas Cage was going to be Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. I think he was offered that and he turned it down.
Ah.
I think that would have been kind of crazy because Nicolas Cage is a little bit crazy, but yeah, quite a prestigious role for him.
Is that real?
I think so. It's on the internet. It's got.
I don't know. He probably got put forward for every role possible.
Mm.
Or
Mm.
maybe,
I think he would that have been around the time he was losing money? I don't know.
Possibly.
He would have just gone up for everything.
he's
Mm.
one of the hardest working actors in Hollywood.
Mm.
Going by how many films he stars in.
Mm. It's a quantity, not quality,
That's true.
for Mr. Cage. Cool. I don't have any more news stories. Do you guys got any cool stuff you have heard about?
I meant to send you a link of the. Did you see the version of Mad Max Fury Road in black and white with no dialogue?
No.
No, I've heard about it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I looked at a little bit of it. But yeah, it was.
It's on the DVD, right? Or the Blu-ray?
It's on the internet. It's on Vimeo now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah, we can all go home and watch it.
Yeah. But yeah, so Dennis Miller, who's the director guy?
Something Miller.
Something Miller. He said that was truer to how he imagined his imagining of that film.
So no dialogue. There's not
So-
a lot of dialogue
So
anyway.
yeah, so basically the audio mix, but with the dialogue taken out, and it's very sort of contrasty, monochrome, sort of grade, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. I don't know how it works as a cinematic experience, but it'd be interesting to watch. I mean, I quite like the kind of colour of the.
It was a good looking
original.
film.
But I think his point was that you basically, when you have a post-apocalyptic film, it tends to be you basically either sort of saturate everything, like when it's a sort of deserty thing, you just sort of saturate everything and you kind of have this kind of gloomy thing, or you sort of punch everything up really high. And
I thought
it's
it was quite vibrant.
Yeah,
That film.
yeah.
The way we
Well, I
saw
think
it.
it's kind of truer to the original Mad Max, wasn't it? That was quite kind of vibrant, but yeah, that was whereas he sort of saw it as a sort of monochrome black and white kind of thing. But
It's like a whole new meaning to the word director's cut. It's like just change everything. That's quite a drastic change. Do they still have the lip flaps then? Like if there's no dialogue?
yeah.
So you see people talk,
people
but you don't
talking, but you don't hear them, and there's no subtitles. Or
It'd be quite cool if there were little silent movie little tile cards, with the black background with the frame, little words in the middle. That would be quite cool.
I'm sure someone's going to do that.
With a little.
I mean, it felt a bit
piano
like that when I
soundtrack.
watched it, though.
There's not. I mean,
No,
the
there's no
dialogue doesn't
no.
really
No.
sort
Yeah.
of move the plot along.
I'm pretty sure when I
particularly.
watched it, I was thinking this was a little bit like a silent movie at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Well, now it is.
Yeah.
Now it is, and you can watch it for free on Vimeo, which is nice.
Yeah.
I like it when people do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like a very cheap way of watching the film.
What, is it the whole film?
Uh,
I assumed it was just a scene.
no, it looked like the whole film.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
I double checked. Maybe it was just like it was definitely a big chunk. So it could have been just half an hour, maybe. But I'm pretty sure it was the whole film.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, origin stories. Let's start talking about the ones that are on the table. You don't think Unbreakable is an origin story?
No, I think it's
I
a
think
story.
It's good. It's
But
a good story. I think it's an
I don't-
origin story of how
you
someone
need-
gets powers.
Well, I suppose if you're looking at the whole superhero origins thing, but we're talking about general origins sort of genre, and that tends to be a story that you're familiar with, and it's sort of taking you. It's almost like a prequel when you're looking back at the origins. Although I guess some of these are the start of the story, whereas Unbreakable was just a standalone story. If it had a sequel, then I could maybe I could or a trilogy or something. But
So you need.
I think as a one-off, it's just a
Well,
story.
I think I think to Andy's point, for it to be an origin, it probably shouldn't be the origin, the middle, and the end.
yeah.
So if there's more to the Unbreakable character, then it's the origin part. But if it's everything, the film's kind of everything rather than an origin story.
So do you think it needs to be an established character, regardless of whether there's been a film made about it? Because you can go to Batman Begins and you can go, well, that if you had no conception of Batman and you had that as a standalone film, that would still, I would say, be an origin story. I don't think you can do an origin story about people without just showing them being born and just being a baby.
It's more like, okay, now I've watched that, what happens next? And if that exists in comic book form or whatever, then I guess it kind of is an origin story. If that character is like no further developed and there's no further story with him, it might be origins, but it's also sort of the end.
Yeah.
Right, that's interesting.
I mean, I guess, going back to my point, I guess Kick-Ass is, I guess, an origins because there's a sequel.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, it's difficult. I think it's a grey line. But I don't think it's, I'm not going to vigorously argue the point.
Do you think it's been a little bit overdone? There's a lot of films out there, and yes, most of them are
Yeah, 'cause
superhero movies.
most of them are, in my opinion, quite poor. The origins, there's none. I mean, there's none that spring to mind.
Go through the table. What's your
Not
favourite
a
one on the
fan
table?
of Casino Royale.
It's quite possibly the best Bond film ever made.
I wouldn't necessarily say. Yeah, I suppose that was not too bad, but yeah.
Indie? No.
No, I prefer Temple of Doom I think that's
Well, Last Crusade's interesting because it's only a small section. Like they haven't got they did a whole series.
Why is that one an
of-
Origins?
Because it's got a small little section in it, which is a flashback to how he gets the hat and kind of. So it kind of goes there just to talk about stuff. But it did have its whole other Young Indiana Jones Chronicles series as well.
Yes, with
did you watch that?
River Phoenix.
No,
Oh, no, he was
River
in
Phoenix
the-
is in that.
Yes,
Yeah,
I see.
River Phoenix is in The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
It's some other guy, I don't really know his name, for the Young Indiana
Yeah,
Jones
no, I do
Chronicles.
remember it being on, but I don't think I watched much of it.
They're not very good. They're one of those things that you remember because
Another Origins.
Indiana
It's
Jones.
not very good.
yeah, well, you remember it as a child being good because it's Indiana Jones, but it's really not that great when you watch it again, which is a shame because they could have done something cooler with that. I think
Yeah.
maybe one day they'll do it again. They'll reboot
Well, it's guaranteed.
Origin. I don't know. They're talking about Chris Pratt being Indiana Jones. Chris Pratt from
Yeah, I know.
Jurassic World, which you guys haven't seen.
No, but
And
he
I
was
promised
in.
we wouldn't talk about it
He was
again.
in Planet. No, the thing with the raccoon.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Yes.
that-
Oh, well done.
Yeah. Everything's a game. Everything's a game. Cool. All right. Well, I want this to lead into and not to sound as cliche as possible, like our own origin stories.
Wow.
That sounds
That's
lame.
a good
I really
thing.
like the idea. It's
Mm.
just my origin story is fairly dull.
Well, there must have been something in your childhood that was remotely interesting that made you not want to kill yourself.
Mm,
Like, what turned you on to... You obviously like what you do now because you keep doing it.
yeah,
So what got you onto that area of things?
getting a job in it.
Really?
Is that
Mm.
what you didn't have that interest before?
I've always had
You
an
did the
interest
job.
in computers, I guess.
Yeah, and programming.
And from a young age, I
So
had
you
an
came-
interest in 3D. Don't know where that came from. Yeah,
Hmm.
used to enjoy playing games a bit when I was a kid, and really loved the idea of being able to make things in 3D. So I had a version of Stratavision. which
What the
I
hell
do.
is that?
I remember that.
Yeah, for the Mac. My gosh, that was a long time ago. And it would take a very long time to produce something that looked pretty awful.
Did that have like ray tracing on it?
It-
A sort of a
it
form
did.
of ray tracing.
Yeah, it did.
It was good at doing cones and spheres with reflections of a
Yeah,
box.
I don't know if it even did reflections. It
Did
might
it
have done.
not?
Yeah, but it was just really...
Yeah.
The stuff you got out was certainly never going to be photorealistic. Although I'm sure a few people have managed to do something reasonable.
Yeah.
What year was that? What year did that appear?
I guess around 1990. No, 2000. 1990 would be too old. 90.
How old are you, Tim?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out. I mean, I guess I would have started messing around with it. Actually, it would have been younger than I thought. I think maybe when I was around 14.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds reasonable.
yeah.
Cool.
So-
But games as well?
Mm.
Because I think like a lot of these things, certainly from my point of view, these things go back to, well, certainly for me, like quite an early age. And there's like just things that you almost keep doing now. Like, I mean, we all play, maybe not as much as we used to, but we've all played games at some point in our life. It's kind of one of those things you don't lose, and that is, from myself, a thing that's influenced me quite a bit. Because it was the first thing I kind of latched onto. I think you take that in a little bit more than TV, because you're always watching TV, but with games it's more interactive. So I think that's slightly more
you
influential.
spend a lot more time with it as well.
Yeah, more time. Yeah, it becomes more influential from an earlier age than maybe some TV programs do, and it's only not until later that TV and film starts to affect you. What about yourself, Andy? Can you remember?
Yeah, I can remember playing games on my ZX Spectrum and programming on my ZX Spectrum in BASIC, and basically not really wanting to do any game creation. I just used to like making patterns on the screen. So I used to just draw circles and then move the circle and then draw it again, and you could get sort of cool spirographic.
I was going to say, did you ever play with Spirograph?
Yeah, it was kind of like that on the screen. So I guess that was a thing, and I was always like cinema as well when I was a kid growing up. It used to be a big thing. I'd go like an outing with my family or with my friends and stuff, and then I guess I kind of kept it as an interest. I used to play on my computer and with audio stuff as well, so do a bit of audio mixing and things like that, and graphic packages as the computers sort of developed, and then as you know, I fell into I did engineering degree in electronic engineering and did software, but kept that kind of creative stuff as a hobby, with like video editing and stuff. Used to make lots of snowboarding videos.
Cool. Need to find some of those. We still got them?
Yeah, I've got a good sort of Jackass style one.
Before Jackass or
No, it was actually sort of homage to Jackass, with the music and stuff, and all my friends pretty much doing the same kind of stuff. Well, not quite as extreme, but
I think we've all had the urge to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember any particular games that stuck out when you were younger?
Oh, that's a good one. There was a couple of very basic 3D ones that I remember playing to death. One was I remember playing Elite, which was but that wasn't one that I kind of got into. But then on the Atari, I had a game called Epic, which was similar but better graphics. Sort of. Do you remember this one?
No, I played one called Escape Velocity, which no one has ever heard of, which is also similar.
What's the game style?
It's basically fly. The Epic was a bit like Elite. You fly between planets, and you can then. So it's partly flying through space, and then partly, you land on a planet, and then you have to find a base to either find some minerals and things. But I just remember the graphics blew me away because it was like proper 3D, and you had terrain and stuff. And
I remember being impressed with Tomb Raider when that first came out.
Yeah,
and I looked at the video footage of that about 5-10 years ago, and I was like, oh my god.
It's impressive for the time though.
But
it is.
But even being that person at that time and being impressed later, I have no connection with that.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, really? That was impressive at the time. Even I can't appreciate that.
What year was Tomb? Was that 95, 96? No, 97.
97? I'd say 97, 98.
97. But I remember Wolf 3D.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein.
It's not Wolfenstein, is it?
Oh.
Yeah, Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The original, sort of that became Doom, I guess, and but the original, and being pretty blown away by the graphics on that. I guess that was a first kind of decent sort of 3D first person shooter kind of thing that and I mean that would have been 94.
Yeah, could have been.
I don't know much about it. I might be wrong, but I think there might have been Wolfenstein for Wolfenstein 3D, and Wolfenstein might have been the first sort of 2.5D game, the first game where you got some 3D perspective.
Yeah, is that before Doom or after Doom?
I think I think something like Wolfenstein's before Doom, but Wolfenstein 3D might have been after. I can't remember. Shouldn't talk about things I don't know much about.
But I guess
we learn.
I guess sort of going from very basic computers, BBC and where you've got very kind of pixelated graphics, and seeing the computer graphics evolve, and I guess now it's probably where I thought it was going to be sort of 10 15 years ago, or maybe even longer than that, where you sort of I remember trying out virtual reality in the mid 90s and thinking, wow, this is going to be awesome in by the year 2000, and being bitterly disappointed when it never really happened.
I don't know. I think you can get to. You could be young enough to kind of use your imagination to fill in stuff. Like when graphics aren't quite there, I don't think it matters. I think as long as you've got enough imagination, you kind of fill in those blanks, and it's not rubbish at the time.
No.
Like I very much. I think my first console, I had like a Commodore 64 and stuff like that, but I don't really remember any like memorable games except for one that's you can't really play nowadays because it's about bombing towers in New York. It's called New York Blitz.
Oh, nice.
Which is not. It was a really cool game.
Wow.
I can't find any record of it though, so maybe it didn't happen. But I certainly remember playing it. It was really cool.
I think it's probably just been wiped from the internet.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. But no, my first console I remember getting and really wanting was a SNES, like a Super Nintendo, and I didn't get it for like the Marios and stuff like that. Like even Final Fantasy at the time, I didn't know what that was and didn't want to play it. I wanted like more realistic games. It had like, do you remember Flashback? It was like a platformer.
Yes, I do. You can get that on your iPad now.
No, and it was. I mean, they remade it, but it was like at the time I really like, and this leads into I think my liking of film and that kind of storytelling is. It was very realistic. Like you was like one hit kills. You had very limited ammo. You couldn't do massive leaps and stuff. Everything was very based around what an actual man could do, and you're just a man lost in the jungle who has to find something. It's generally how most games go. But yeah, I was very attracted to stuff like that, and that kind of took me through to like Metal Gear on PlayStation 1. It was like the first time when I realized like that's probably how games, for me at least, should be. And even films, to be honest, because it does a better job than some films in telling a story. Yeah, I was just very attracted to realism in games. I liked the flight simulators and stuff like that from Microsoft, just because they were like representations of real life, which I quite liked. A little bit more believable than the kind of cartoony characters.
Yeah,
I remember situations.
Yeah, I did. I remember. I did get quite into one of the Grand Prix games, because you could race the actual tracks, and at the time I was really into Formula 1, and you could actually race the tracks in 3D, and then I actually did a whole season where I'd race the track and then watch the actual race.
Oh, really? That's quite fun.
No, but that's I mean, that's where we are now, isn't it? It's like we're getting to the stage now where you can do that a little bit more realistically with like headgear. But no, I had similar stuff. I remember when I didn't really understand how games worked as much as I do now. Like I really wanted that realism. So we were playing. My friend had a Mega Drive, and we were playing Desert Strike. You know, the helicopter games, like just an arcadey. You shoot a bunch of stuff. And I remember there being a setting, like, you know, when you can change the controls, you can like customize the controls, and one was like flight controls. And I was like, cool, that's going to turn it all into like a cockpit view, and it's going to feel like you've got like a joystick and stuff like that. And then my friend switched it on, and it just inverted the controls. And I was like, oh, that's rubbish. But I knew I wanted out of it. I was like, I wanted that. And yeah, now it's very easy to get that. But back then, it's tough. But you can imagine some of it. You can play crappy games and rubbish graphics. And like I remember playing... PlayStation used to do their own like make your own games, and they used to come out with demo discs that used to get with like official PlayStation magazine, so people would like make their own games and they'd be released on that.
Yeah, shareware stuff.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and it was like there was just this like really low polygon game where you just shoot a city again. Great, there's a theme built in there. But yeah, and it was like there's no detail. It's just kind of fun, but you can imagine it being a real city and just shooting the crap out of it.
Yeah, I used to like enjoy playing playable demos and stuff. In fact, I think my attention span even then was quite short, so I could quite easily play a couple of levels of a game, and that would satisfy me, and I wouldn't then have to buy the game, and I'd go on to another game and play a couple of levels of that.
You would play demos to like as much as you would probably play that real game. Like you would play them like for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, because that's all you had. Like you couldn't afford 10 games, but 10 games would come on this demo disc.
Yeah, you get,
and it's hard now though, because that's like that was something that was given to you and you had no particular choice. You buy the magazine and you get the disc. Now demos don't. I think do they exist still? Get demos on Steam.
I played when I looked into the Stanley Parable. There's a playable demo of that, which is nothing, is a sort of a teaser to the actual game, but it's not, you're not playing the game, kind of, it's separate. thing in itself.
When did you guys all get bought TVs when you were younger?
I had one probably in my room when I was a teenager, so I could watch The Word.
Which which end of teenager?
I probably quite
Beginning
late. No, I don't think so. I don't know, maybe 15, 16.
Really?
Yeah.
About you, Tim?
I never had my own TV, but
Ah.
I did get a computer when I was about 16, 15 maybe.
PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually,
That was
yeah,
just
I mean-
yours. It wasn't like a shared.
Yeah. So we had a sort of family one up
Mm.
until that point. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
kind of time where, it's getting to actually using it quite a lot and being internet and
Mm.
stuff that you could use.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Couldn't watch TV on it yet though.
no. But honestly, I don't really miss TV that much, and it's kind of nice in a way to have the TV that you'd watch, with my sister or with some of the family at some point. Anyway,
Oh, it's entirely the opposite.
really,
Yeah, I got brought a TV relatively young. Like I think I was probably still like a teen. I think it was like 12, maybe 11. But that was probably the thing that did it, because you were no longer restricted to watch this, watch that, watch what kind of everyone in the family wants to watch.
sure.
It was like, well, I have a TV in my room, so I can stay up pretty much all night watching TV, and I did. And that's when I started watching films that you probably shouldn't watch. Like as a kid, at that age, I pick up films like Leon's the big one for me. Whenever anyone asks what my favorite film is, I say Leon. But like the great thing about having the TV and having your own choice is like, I didn't know what that was before it came on. So
Right, so
you
it's
look at the
just a
TV listings
random
and it's
film.
like, it's just a film. I'm like, I'm up, I'm awake. What's on channel 1? What's on
Yeah,
channel 2?
yeah,
What's on
yeah.
channel 3? What's on channel 4? And that film flicks on, and you're like, oh, I'll watch that. And then you watch like the best film ever made, and it's like getting that at an early age, I think, introduced me to films maybe quicker than I would have naturally. Well, if I hadn't had the TV, otherwise naturally got onto.
yeah.
Yeah, loads of like films like Go and stuff like that. It's like
Ah,
just stuff I wouldn't have seen that. Like my parents would never have rented me those things. Certainly not
Yeah.
Leon. Like they probably didn't know what it was either, but they would have looked at the label and gone 18, and it's like, you're not watching that.
I have Go on DVD.
It's a good film. But yeah, no, that TV was I used to because I had I got like a PlayStation and stuff like a couple of years later and things like that, and then I think because where my bed was, it was like raised, so I had my window, and I'd sit in the window pretty much, the TV there, and pretty much everyone in the street knew me because I was the guy who was always in the window, just playing games or watching TV, like pretty
Do you not
much
have
all day.
curtains?
Yeah, but I don't like curtains. I don't even use curtains now. If Gemma wasn't around, I just leave them open all the time. But I was literally there 24/7, pretty much playing games or watching TV. But I'm more than happy that I spent that ridiculous amount of time, on my own, because now it's like influences a lot of what I do. And if I hadn't watched those films or played those games to that extent, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah. What films you say you saw Leon on the telly? Was there films that you saw at the cinema that had a big influence in your kind of maybe your tastes?
Not as much.
Did you not go to the cinemas?
I did. No, I went a lot. Like, I think film is just one of those things that is part of most people's lives, like whether they like film or not, to the extent that maybe we like film. Like everyone goes to the cinema. It's a thing you do with friends, but you're always dictated to by like the group. It's like what's the next big film that's coming out, and you end up seeing those. What I think I got with the TV was like you get with indie films now. It's like films that most people generally wouldn't want to go and see are the kind of things that you would get to see on TV because no one else is going, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
But no, so nothing major at the cinema. Star Wars is obviously the big one, but that wasn't at the cinema at all. That was just rented films. Back when you used to rent tapes.
I have just so many memories of like going into the videotape store in the village and having a look around all the walls and it just being like, I don't know, just such tatty cases, like
black and white. They were like black and white photocopies of the real sleeves for the most part in the one I was at.
Yeah.
But Jurassic Park's the big one still. Like that is one of the more memorable films, and the one I think I've said it before on the podcast, is like I kind of measure everything by that when it came out, and like how that was a big deal at the cinema because that was probably the big big blockbuster film, the first one that I saw and remembered
Yeah.
seeing, and I was the right age for it as well. It was like it was exactly at my level. But that was the thing: you would go into the rental shop and be like, "Have you got a copy of Jurassic Park?" And they'd be like, "No," and they won't have it for like weeks on end. And then you go in and you just literally be a weekly occurrence. You go in and go, "Have you got Jurassic Park?" And they're like, "No, we haven't got Jurassic Park." You're like, "What?" It wouldn't happen now, but then it was like the one time we got it, it was it literally just been returned and they were rewinding it. And it's like literally you've never seen a bunch of excited kids like as excited as we were, because it was like 4 of us, and we're like, wow, kids, because you wouldn't get to see stuff.
No, you'd
From the
6
cinema.
months to a year.
And then it would
come
be
out on
the
to
general
buy.
like stuff's pretty quick turnaround now, but yeah, back then 6 months was a long time. And then you wouldn't get the film bought for you unless it was your birthday or Christmas. So unless like everything aligned perfectly, you weren't seeing that film for like almost a year after you'd seen it at the cinema. So yeah, what a way to build up suspense.
And then you have to wait for it to rewind. do you think that's why I don't know. For me, I feel like I enjoyed things more when I was younger. Obviously, everything's newer to you when you're younger. But do you think like actually that delay and that suspense makes quite a big difference? The fact that you can't just do it on demand, you have to go to the shop, you have to look around.
Yeah. No, I think so. Yeah, there's too much choice in TV shows now. It's like there's just if it doesn't get you properly caught up in that like first 2 episodes, you're like, there are way too many other things I could be doing with my time, and I'll go and watch them. So yeah, there's an awful lot more of more stuff. But yeah, films though, I don't know. I think films have remained pretty consistent. I think the blockbusters are as blockbustery as they were, but we've just gone on to different things. Do you know what I mean? I think TV's totally changed, but I think film has kind of stayed the same.
Yeah.
No one agrees with me.
Well, I don't know. I feel like maybe when, like if I think to Star Wars, to Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, stuff like that, I don't feel like, although I am ignorant, I don't feel like there was that many films before that attempted those kinds of genres. At least, yeah. I mean, how would you have done dinosaurs? Like, you know, it was actually, it took a point where you needed quite a big budget and quite a big amount of sales to.
Well, that's why Disney did
justify.
so well. That's why Disney did so well, because they were able to do the kind of like, this is stuff you couldn't do that with like with real people and stuff, even if they were animated around real people. So I think Disney kind of took advantage of that, because there wasn't the budget to do huge, massive, spectacular things in film that kids would enjoy, like that was mainstream enough. So Disney kind of reaped that, and now it's very easy to do stuff in CG, relatively. Animation just goes gone, like traditional animation.
Yeah.
But I just mean, I think at that time you were seeing almost genres that you'd never seen before. Like so many possibilities started opening up as soon as, like, you know, revenue went up, and as then computer CG stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like now there isn't that kind of like that aspect of the new and exciting thing to go see a new film for me.
I think it just evolves. Like at the moment, there's The Wire. Oh, The Wire. Is it The Wire? The Walk.
The Walk.
The Walk is out at the moment, and it's like it's about the guy who tightrope walked across the Twin Towers.
Yeah, okay.
And there's a documentary about that. I've seen the documentary. It's quite interesting. I kind of learned everything I needed to know about what that guy did. They've now dramatized it, but they've turned it into a big event thing. So this very, I would call it low-key character drama, but it's done by Robert Zemeckis, who's Back to the Future, Beowulf, and all that stuff. So he's in Polar Express. So he's been trying to push stuff for a while, like new technologies and things like that. And this is a IMAX 3D film, which I really want to see, because I want to see how they've done that walk bit across the Twin Towers. I think that if the film's absolutely terrible,
Well, that's the payoff for the whole film, presumably.
Yeah, totally. But it's like being able to see stuff like that, I think, is just the natural progression of where it like new genres go. It's like that's a relatively
It's more experiential.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
But you saw the first 3D film in the 90s, and I don't know whether Avatar has really got much more of a kick to, you know, that aspect.
Doesn't mean they got it right. They just tried something and it didn't.
It's been a lot of trying. I guess yes, things will be exciting and new things will come along, new techniques will happen, and I'm not dismissing all of that at all. I'm just saying, that it visually it was like a completely different thing to look at. Not even if it wasn't the first thing, you probably hadn't seen many things that had been like that, and that's part of being young and seeing films for the first time. But
yeah,
I think that also happened to coincide with
I think so, but I don't know. I still genuinely think it is down to just evolution. I think there are going to be kids growing up nowadays, and Jurassic Park's not going to affect them in any way. They're not going to care that it's real dinosaurs, like not real dinosaurs, but actual models. They're going to have no preconception about those kind of real things, so they're going to see stuff like Avatar and go, yep, that's CG, that's very normal. So when I see that, I go, yeah, that's cool. That's a decent film. They're gonna then go into 3D. They're gonna pick that up slightly. If people keep doing 3D stuff, they're gonna pick that up. I think the push for the experiential stuff, like Andy was saying, is towards IMAX and just that making the big spectacle bigger, because it has to get bigger. And it's like, it's just the evolution from when it went from black and white to color, and from like no talking to like talkies. It's just like that suddenly, like, wow, that's totally new. And everyone who experienced it before was like, I don't know about this, it's different, people don't like change. But the people who are growing up with that then go, yeah, that's normal, and then they'll take the next step and do the next thing.
But I'm not quite talking about that, because that's like a technological leap. It's like a quality leap, or something that maybe shortens the distance between you and fiction, or whatever it is. All exciting and really awesome stuff. But regardless of what quality it was done, if it was an awful B movie or anything, I just don't think you see like many dinosaur films on a big planet, or like even space films. A lot of them were done obviously from sort of like quite early, and so that's an example, I guess, of like where I was probably the generation that was a bit too old to have that as a new thing, because I'd seen lots of things on TV that were kind of spacey.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making any sense at all.
No, I think I feel like we're on the same subject, but maybe not. I don't know if you're maybe worrying too much or thinking too much about were films good or bad. Like,
no.
Does your age make that perception different?
I think regardless of the generation, the first dinosaur film you see will be awesome, because the first time you kind of see dinosaurs.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But sorry, what do you want to say, Nick?
I was going to say there was lots of dinosaur films I saw before Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park was the first dinosaur film where I kind of believed that the dinosaurs were kind of real.
Yeah.
Like Guy was saying, because I've seen was it Lost World, old, and I grew up watching. Yeah, I grew up watching all these kind of films on the telly, that with the stop motion kind of effects and stuff. But
that would have been very hard hitting for people who had never seen any kind of animation before. That would have been like, wow, that dinosaur is totally alive.
Yeah.
That's the best animation you could see in a representation of something that doesn't exist.
When I was a kid, I was kind of terrified when when it was going to try and eat someone and stuff. I was kind of, but it didn't really define the sort of dinosaur film for me. Is that what you were trying to get at?
I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think let's move on.
No. Everything comes back to Jurassic Park. I like this. No, Star Wars, I think, is one of the bigger. That's an influence. I think is kind of universal, regardless of whether you like it or not. Just because of like what that did.
Well, except for the people that never saw it, which is quite a lot.
No, I know, but it's like you could never have seen Star Wars, but you will know those characters. You'll know kind of roughly what it is, and it's like for something to have that kind of impact, I think is pretty impressive. It's like it's just like a pop culture thing.
Sure.
And it
Everyone knows what the
influences-
Force is.
Yeah, it influences a lot of people more than those who just really like it, and I think that's cool. Like, people will go, I don't ever want to make a Star Wars film, and that will influence them to go and do something else. It's like, I don't want to do anything to do with space, but the fact that Star Wars existed and was this big thing, they're like, I'm going to stay away from that. But then there are people like us who, we all like Star Wars, don't we?
Sure.
Please say. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's not a convincing answer.
No, it is.
I can't remember. I can remember being so excited about the whole Star Wars thing, and
Star Wars made me want to do what you guys kind of do. My first meeting with like a what do you get at school? The careers people.
careers people.
Fighter pilot or visual effects artist.
Yes, I used to watch all
They
the,
told me to do visual effects, not be a fighter pilot.
and
They were close.
Yeah, yeah, no, they were close. I was very much, because I had no idea that you could just be a director and do that kind of thing. It was like you'd be relegated to, not that it's bad to be relegated to that, but like in terms of making a film, the director is the guy who's kind of up there and making all those decisions.
Cheers, guy.
Yeah.
tell us what to do.
Yeah.
But no,
Make us
you
stay
can
late.
be a visual effects artist and director in film and go, well, I'm going to do this from a
Yeah.
visual effects point of view. But not realizing that those jobs existed. Like, you couldn't, not even being an editor. It's like, well, I like Star Wars, and what is it that Star Wars is good at? It's like it's the visual spectacle. It's like, oh, I'll do that then. I should probably do that because that's what I enjoy most. It's like not really realizing there's all these other roles that exist,
Yeah.
like within filmmaking.
Yeah. I think when you're young, there's, well, I don't know, you know, me being in a sort of village school and what have you, you know, careers advice is usually not like, you know, become a world-class athlete or a director of a multi-million-dollar film. It's like, do something that's kind of semi-ambitious but
Yeah.
plausible.
Well, I guess our kind of job that we do now didn't really exist when we went to careers
No, I envy
advisors.
those guys at school, because those guys go into school saying, I either want to be a fighter pilot or I want to do some visual effects of films, and they'll go, no one's a fighter pilot, but visual effects, you can totally do that. And now, because it's this thing
Yeah.
that everyone realizes,
'Cause I
they can
guess-
go, well, you should probably you need to do this,
Yeah.
and this. So I want to make games. It's like, okay, well, you have a way to go. Whereas we go, I want to make games, sir, and they go,
It's actually really interesting
don't.
because the games industry is changing a lot. Like, it's almost accelerating at the way things are changing in terms of the technology and the tools. And in a way, some people are coming out of graduate courses better equipped to do that than people who've been doing the job for 20 years.
yeah.
Because they know the very latest workflow, the tools. That's how they learnt everything. If you've come from a slightly, you know, if you've been doing it a while, it's like, oh, you don't do that because of that, isn't actually true anymore. It's kind of really interesting, actually. You got a real competitive advantage if you do it now. It's not just about experience.
But do you has that come so far as to the point where it's ridiculously competitive, like in that area, because everyone is starting to realize these are the things you need to do, and everyone is coming up with the level of like, okay,
For sure. I mean,
we all know how to
yeah.
do this at the same level, and we just have to kind of like push each other out of the way to kind of get this stuff.
Well,
through.
I think there's still, relatively speaking, a lot of jobs. It's still a very skilled profession, and so there's not a demand problem. So there's plenty of demand for the jobs, and obviously, sort of, you know, if you want to work for the very best company, yeah, there'll be competition to work there. But yeah, but graduates are cheap, so got a very good chance. Yeah.
So it's good that you can go and ask to do this job that you really want to do, but there'll be 10 other people asking to do that job that you really want to do
Sure.
at school now, and it's like those courses are going to start getting booked up super fast, like uni level kind of people, and that's going to be, I don't know, I guess you go and do it yourself now rather than be taught to do it. You can just kind of teach yourself.
I think the really clever ones, that's what they're going to do.
I think it's really hard to teach yourself, actually.
Yeah,
Specifically talking about games industry. Yeah.
because it's not just being able to do the thing, like the programming. It's like you've got to do all this other stuff as well around it, how to actually put a game together.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that you could maybe learn to do by rote, but you should probably know why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how it ties into other bits of the system, and you don't know how to
Yeah.
adapt when the new tool comes along. So, and that a lot of that stuff is like totally work outable by yourself. But at the same time, so much quicker if someone just says we do this because of this, or you're sat next to someone who's the best at it and you just copy what they do. I mean, that saves 20 years. That saves 20 years off your learning process. So, but it's I think it's if you were interested in that aspect or VFX or whatever, I think there's a lot of good courses now.
I think any kind
and
of
I think you've got a lot of good opportunities. Yeah.
I remember trying to make my first film with a Hi8 camera, and I think I did things back then the kind of the way I do things now a little bit. It's like, I don't have anybody else around, so I'll just put this camera here and I'll act and I'll do this thing and then I'll edit it together. But I didn't have editing software, so you do that in camera and it comes off generally bad. But
because you get bits of you going over to it to stop it.
Kinda. Well, I had a remote. I had a remote control.
Oh, did you?
I thought about that. I was like, okay, well, I can go. Okay, press the button. Right, hide that in my pocket, and then do the action, and then
cool.
and then finish the action and press the button, and then keep going. It's a good skill. Didn't do a ton of those because it's depressingly hard. But
I want to see one.
Yeah, we should have a show and tell.
I don't think I have. I don't have. I didn't learn this stuff until relatively late. Like I always knew I liked films and stuff, but I never knew how to apply that into anything like physical. So I'd like try and do things. I say, I like games. I can't make games. I've seen someone try and do that. Like my sister did some programming on the Commodore 64 once. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Filmmaking, it took me until I was like, how old do you when you go to uni? Like 18? Yeah, I was like 17, I guess, because you have to make the decision before. And then I was like, oh, I can put all that knowledge and like all that enjoyment of that thing into stuff. I can go make things. So yeah, it was kind of like, so I don't have a lot of like early film things. I filmed my last day at school. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
it's on a Hi8 camera. No one has those anymore.
Was that like an early
It was DV.
Sort of
it was like a little. It was like a.
right.
It was like a cheap DV type thing. So there was DV tape. There was Hi8. It was just a stopgap between film and where we are now.
Yeah,
it was rubbish. But yeah, that would be an interesting film to see. I would have been 6. No, I would have been 17.
Have you got the means to play it back?
No. Don't even know where the tape is.
Yeah.
Tape is somewhere. I won't throw it that way.
I need to digitize all my DV tapes before the
you better get on it.
Format. Yeah.
Must be getting increasingly expensive.
Yeah, I think I have got a camera, but it doesn't seem to work. I need to borrow your
work one.
Yeah.
It was like photography as well. Like it wasn't like going to university and realizing that there are creative people. Like you could do a creative thing rather than just like you've got to do maths, English, or whatever. Like art to that point was the most creative thing that you were allowed to do, or I thought you were allowed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you go to university and you go, I can do film stuff, cool. And there are a lot of people here who like that as well. And you're like, oh cool. I'm probably take photos of these people. And then just took as many photos as I could, and I never really took photos, and I don't take a lot of photos now. But back then, you just kind of go. Blah. It's a good place to stop. I may or may not have thrown up. You don't know unless you're watching the video version.
Well, we didn't go.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
We have to use these mics. It would just smell forever.
Don't. That's not nice.
They smell okay now.
Good.
We've been talking into them for a couple of weeks. They smell okay.
Yeah. Mine's up.
Cool. All right. Got something in my eye.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
No worries.
Yeah.
I'll see you next time, which will be on the 17th when we're doing the time travel episode. Because it's Back to the Future Day for real. Not one of these fake ones that everyone on the internet keeps coming up with.
Is it October 22nd?
17th.
Oh, is the actual day we do it? Is
no, so we recorded a couple of days before and put it out on that day.
Okay.
Nice one, Andy.
But no, we will be talking about time travel.
Yeah.
To the extreme.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
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 It was a good podcast.
What was that one?
Yeah.
I get jokes.
Good.
I get it.
I think Andy's got a bit flag.
You get it.
I wasn't listening.
I'm Andy. I just drift in and out.
Honest Andy. This is why he's on the show.
Cool. All right. Cheers, guys. We'll see you then.
Yep.
Yeah.